Hello friends, Bill again. It's July 1st and I'm on lunch and I came down to my favorite little spot today. It's a nice day except it's really fucking hot out. It's pushing about 100 degrees here today. I think last time I made this video there weren't any leaves on the trees or anything, but I was talking about how beautiful it is. So here's a nice view. Genesee River, green on the trees here in the Cornhill district. I don't know, I just was thinking a lot about things I think about every day, and our societal problems, and I worry very much about a collapse, obviously, financially. Our economy is really just kind of shaky on stilts, and then just the way the people's behaviors and attitudes and worldviews are all fucked up. And I always come back to that all of this is happening because of just manipulation. And I think that collectively we're just not angry enough about it yet, and we should be just over the top by this point, with how far we're being pushed and how much we're being crushed. And, the more I think about it, I think, do people really understand how much of their life is manipulated by outside of things they can control? And how does that affect you, as a person, your morale, your well-being, your mental health, your physical health, how you interact with other people, how you interact with your children, your family, and everything. The levels of stress that people carry from day to day. I know I carry a lot. I try to keep a cool head as much as I can, but I mean, if you watch this channel, you see that I got a rant sometimes because I just can't fucking believe everything around me. But we've always been manipulated, but the thing is just, over time, it's just constant pushing of the envelope. Push a little farther, a little farther, a little farther. How much will people accept? How much will people just go along with, and the people that are doing the manipulating figure out, new shiny objects to put in front of people so that, in conjunction with these little shiny objects, and then you got people that are have motives that are trying to, create narratives and ideas and put them in people's heads, in previous videos I've talked about, identifying those people and what do they have to gain for it. They say follow the money for a reason, and that's the real thing. I mean, everything is driven by money. But we've always been manipulated. They keep pushing the envelope, and then COVID happened, and basically everybody was, just basically cut off from being able to do much of anything on their own. And, a lot of big corporations figured out how they could cash in on that, and then they took it and ran with it. And these people made so much money off of us during the pandemic, and things have not gone even close back to normal since all of that ended. It's just gotten worse and worse. The manipulation has gotten more and more, and we just continue collectively on a big scale prove to be complacent and not willing to just draw a line, where things are just not okay anymore. And the more people just neglect or refuse to do that, the worse things are going to get. We're not going to be saved by the government. We're not going to be saved by a handful of politicians that are trying to do the right thing while you got in Congress 400, I don't remember the exact number, people, congressmen and women, and only you ever really only hear from maybe about a half dozen of them, regularly, that are being outspoken, that are, might genuinely be working for us. And sometimes that's even debatable, but I think there are some good people out there that are trying to do, actually be public servants. But we're, we're allowing the vast majority of them to keep playing this game, and they're involved in the manipulation because the people that have all the money, the corporations and billionaires and the elite class that made all this money off the pandemic and everything, they're sinking their money into making sure the politicians that they want are able to get in office by just basically giving crazy amounts of money to these politicians to crush their opponent. And you even have, it's known now that so much of this money is even coming from outside the country. You got foreign interests that are trying to use their money to manipulate things here in this country. And I don't understand why that doesn't make people so angry, or if maybe it's because most people still depend on mainstream media, and they're not going to really push this because they've got consequences if they do with the current administration, and everybody working against them. But it's come to, it's a class warfare thing now, and the people with all the money control all of the media, just about, all of the mainstream media and all of their outlets, from the news, television specials, anything that's in digital media, printed media. They're all owned by really rich people that the way things are going right now is the way they want things to keep going and get worse, and it will continue to go on because they control everything. The Supreme Court just shot down a 90-year precedent where you can't give unlimited money to candidates, and now you can do that. So now, like, regular people are screwed. Grassroots movements are screwed. People trying to just donate their personal money to politicians to stand up for them, they're getting crushed. And we're just constantly manipulated by everything. Everything we do is manipulated, and people, I think, really need to come to terms with that if we're going to fix anything. And it sucks because nobody wants to think they're being manipulated. Everybody wants to think they're in control of their own lives and destiny and everything. But the reality is just at this point in time, we're not. We probably never really were, but we had a hell of a lot more freedoms and independence and things that we can make decisions on, and avenues we could travel to best suit our life paths. And we just don't have that anymore. It's just getting worse by the day, and it is very obvious that all of the branches of government are now complicit in working against all of the citizens and regular people, unless they admire these people for big money, and then they're going to do whatever they need to do to keep those people making big money so that they can make not as big money but good enough money that they're living great lives that make our lives pale in comparison. So I don't know, that's my thoughts on manipulation. I really think people need to really put real thought into things, and what affects them. And like I said in my video yesterday, like, everything is interconnected, and if you change one thing, you got to think about, well, how will it affect the other things that are connected to it, and all the way down to ground level people like us. How does it affect us, and how does it restrain us from being able to do things that we want to do, things we used to be able to do? It's just my food for thought, and I hope people listen to this and think about it. I'm not trying to just talk to hear myself talk, but I don't know what else to do to try and help people open their minds a little bit. But I need to see things get better. This is crushing. It's crushing for morale all around, and I hate seeing it. And I want a better future for my kids, and the way things are going, we're not building a better future for the kids. So welcome feedback. Thanks, guys.